Right now, in the darkest part of your house, a silent biological timer is ticking down to 0. The exact moment the physical space goes completely quiet, this invisible rule is triggered. You probably think your cat is just being a nuisance, burning off random chaotic energy while you try to sleep. But this isn't chaos. It is a highly structured, hardwired neurological reset. And if you handle this nighttime explosion the way most humans instinctively do, you are doing far more than just losing a few hours of sleep. You are actively training your cat's nervous system to remain in a permanent state of hyper-arousal. Later in this video, I will show you the exact psychological mistake owners make in the dark that permanently shatters a cat's circadian rhythm. You already know the sound. The sudden, heavy thud of paws hitting the hardwood floor. The frantic scrambling across the living room rug. The phantom chase down the hallway. It looks like your cat has temporarily lost their grip on reality. Their pupils are fully dilated, turning their eyes into bottomless black saucers to capture whatever faint moonlight is left. Their tail is completely stiff, twitching aggressively at the base. And if you dare look over the edge of the bed, they might just crab walk sideways before launching themselves into the kitchen shadows. We casually call it the Zoomies. Science calls it frenetic random activity periods, or FRAPs. But framing this behavior as random is the most dangerous assumption you can make about your cat's internal state. There is absolutely nothing random about what is happening in your hallway. Your cat is not running just to run. They are completing a biological sequence that you accidentally paused during the day. Cats are obligate carnivores, built entirely on a very specific, unbreakable behavioral loop. Stalk, catch, kill, eat, groom, sleep. When a modern cat lives indoors, their environment is overwhelmingly safe, quiet, and physically static. They sleep on a soft bed while you are at work. They graze on a bowl of dry food that requires 0 stalking, 0 catching, and absolutely 0 killing. The biological loop is fundamentally broken. But that predatory kinetic energy doesn't just evaporate into thin air. It pools deeply in their nervous system. It builds up like heavy water behind a fragile dam. And cats are crepuscular, meaning their brains are biologically hardwired to peak in alertness at dusk and dawn. So at 3 a.m., when the ambient noise of the house drops and the visual field dims, that dam violently breaks. But if you believe this midnight marathon is just an innocent way for them to burn off steam, you are stepping into a massive behavioral trap. Their internal state in this exact moment is incredibly volatile and completely vulnerable to accidental conditioning. If you react with your natural human instinct to get out of bed, tell them to stop, or toss them a treat to quiet them down, you will trigger a devastating cycle of feline stress. To understand why your reaction is so dangerous, we have to look at the exact chemical spike happening inside your cat's brain in the dark. In 2018, researchers at the Royal Veterinary College in London examined the specific activity patterns of indoor cats and their neurochemical responses to nighttime owner interactions. They found that human intervention during peak crepuscular hours does not calm the feline nervous system down. It actively validates the hunt. Getting out of bed spikes the cat's dopamine and cortisol levels simultaneously. You become a dynamic part of the environmental stimulation. The researchers noted a measurable 40% increase in sustained nocturnal pacing in cats whose owners actively engage with them during nighttime Zoomies. When you yell, sigh loudly, or feed them to shut them up, their brain registers a highly successful environmental interaction. You didn't stop the Zoomies, you just paid them for it. If you have ever found yourself exhausted, negotiating with a hyperactive cat at 3 in the morning, You are deeply understood and definitely not alone in this frustration. Look closely at where your cat runs during these episodes. They aren't just pinballing blindly off the walls in a panic. They are running a highly specific, predetermined geographical circuit. Over the back of the couch, under the dining table, banking hard off the hallway wall, and stopping dead at the bedroom door. This is rapid territorial rehearsal. They are patrolling their core survival perimeter at max speed to confirm there are no hidden threats in the dark. And here is your practical check. Tomorrow night, instead of reacting or getting out of bed, listen strictly to the auditory rhythm of the Zoomies. If the running is silent, fluid, and punctuated by normal jumps, it is a healthy, natural energy discharge. But if the running is accompanied by deep, guttural yowling, frantic scratching at closed doors, or pacing in a tight, repetitive circle, pay close attention. That is no longer a predatory sequence. That is a distinct distress signal. Which brings up a vital, unresolved reality about your cat's mind. If the healthy Zoomies are just a burst of stored energy, why do some cats seem completely miserable during them? Why do they seem almost desperate to escape their own bodies? The answer lies entirely in what you failed to do 12 hours earlier. The true hidden danger of the 3 a.m. Zoomies isn't your lack of sleep. It is chronic daytime under-stimulation metastasizing into nighttime anxiety. When a cat's environment is completely barren of cognitive challenges during the day, their highly evolved brain turns against them at night. They aren't running for joy. They are running to escape their own physical and biological frustration. The only way to kill the 3 a.m. Zoomies is to thoroughly exhaust the predator at 8 p.m. You have to manually force the hunt. A wand toy dragging like a wounded bird. A laser pointer sequence that immediately ends with a physical toy they can actually catch, bite, and rabbit kick. A complex puzzle feeder that forces them to work for their calories. You must trigger the catch, kill, and eat sequence before you turn off the lights. Because a cat that successfully kills their prey in the evening has no biological reason to hunt the shadows at night. They will simply groom their paws, and they will finally sleep.